Look outside, at the sprawling metropolis before you. A concrete jungle teeming with life, dreams, and secrets. If you're in a city, you'll see a galaxy of lights against the night sky, each one representing a story, a hope, or perhaps a carefully guarded truth. It's a mesmerizing spectacle, a testament to human ambition and ingenuity. But beneath the shimmering surface, questions linger. Cars winding through streets like veins pumping lifeblood through the city, government buildings glowing with importance, symbols of power and authority. They stand tall, beacons of order in the urban landscape. It's the postcard version of democracy, the image we're presented with, the narrative we're told. Everything looks orderly, in control, a well-oiled machine running smoothly. But is that the whole picture? Is what we see truly what we get? But that comfort is as real as a fast food burger's gourmet label. A carefully constructed illusion designed to satisfy without truly nourishing. Deep down you know something's off, a nagging feeling that things aren't quite as they seem, a sense of unease that whispers in the back of your mind. Headlines scroll by, a constant stream of information or perhaps misinformation. Chaos, confusion, a whirlwind of events designed to keep you distracted, disoriented, and ultimately compliant. Decisions that seem to help only the well-connected, the elite few who operate behind closed doors, pulling the strings of power. Who's really making the calls? Who are the puppet masters, pulling the strings from the shadows? Are elected officials truly in charge, or just the public face of a hidden machine? Are they the voice of the people, or merely echoes of a more powerful, unseen force? We're told power rests with the people, that our voices matter, that our votes count. It sounds great, but look around, really look. Observe the world around you with a critical eye. Are we really steering the ship, charting our own course, or just along for the ride, passengers on a predetermined journey? The government org chart you learned in school, the neat, orderly diagram of checks and balances, a fairy tale, a simplified version of reality, designed to keep us complacent and unquestioning. The real system is a tangled web of influence, a complex network of interconnected interests, money, the lifeblood of the system, flowing through unseen channels, and power, wielded by those who control the flow, shaping the world to their own design, just out of sight, hidden from the public eye, operating in the shadows. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on that world, exposing the hidden mechanisms of power, revealing the forces that shape our lives. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride. The truth can be unsettling, but it's the only way to understand the world we live in. Politicians, our supposed champions, are everywhere, making speeches, shaking hands, promising change. But what if they aren't the real decision makers? What if the issues they debate are just the ones they're allowed to discuss? The national conversation is always about a few topics. Who decides which ones? Politicians juggle voters, party leaders, donors, and special interests. It's a balancing act, and the loudest, flashiest issues get the spotlight. Meanwhile, the real decisions happen quietly, influenced by people you've never heard of. Some politicians fight for change, but many are more like middle managers, visible, but not in control. The big picture goals? Those come from a boardroom they'll never enter. They're the face of power, not the source. Understanding that distinction is key to knowing who really runs the show. If politicians are managers, lobbyists are the consultants whispering in their ears. Lobbying isn't quaint. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry built to bend laws for those who can pay. It's about access, relationships, and hiring insiders who know the system. Lobbyists don't just argue for bills. They often write them, backed by research that serves their clients. This affects your life-high internet bills, expensive medicine, often the result of relentless lobbying. For every lawmaker, there are dozens of lobbyists offering donations and future jobs. The revolving door between government and industry keeps the system spinning. Officials learn not to bite the hand that will soon feed them. It's legalized, institutionalized influence. Big money always gets a seat at the table. You might think the media will expose all this. Some journalists do, and we need them. But most major outlets are giant corporations, owned by even bigger corporations, often with billionaire backers. Their main goal? Capture your attention and sell it to advertisers. Sensational stories win over complex, important ones. Social media takes this further. Algorithms feed you what keeps you scrolling, not what's true. This creates echo chambers where misinformation spreads and public opinion is manipulated. The media doesn't just report reality, it shapes it, deciding who's good, who's bad, and what matters. They frame debates, set the terms, and can turn minor issues into scandals or bury major ones. By controlling the narrative, they control how we see the world. They are the gatekeepers of our reality. So what really makes the gears of our political system turn? What's the lifeblood that courses through its veins, influencing decisions and shaping outcomes? Money. It's the undeniable force that fuels campaigns, sways opinions, and ultimately, impacts the laws that govern us all. In theory, elections should be a battleground of ideas, a forum where the best policies and visions for the future are debated and chosen by the people. But in reality, the playing field isn't level. It's often about who can amass the largest war chest, who can afford the most advertising, and who has the resources to reach the most voters. Campaigns are incredibly expensive endeavors, requiring vast sums of money for everything from television ads to staff salaries. And the lion's share of that money doesn't come from grassroots donations or bake sales. It comes from a select few, big donors with deep pockets and specific agendas. Then there are PACs and super PACs, which allow corporations and wealthy individuals to pour unlimited, often untraceable funds into the political arena, further amplifying their influence. This creates a system where elections become high-stakes fundraising arms races, with candidates spending more time chasing dollars than connecting with their constituents. Ultimately, this gives the wealthy a disproportionately louder voice in our democracy, drowning out the concerns of ordinary citizens. If you can write $1 million check to a campaign, you're practically guaranteed a meeting with the candidate. But what about ordinary citizens? Maybe an intern skims your letter, if you're lucky. The constant need for money inevitably warps politicians' priorities, forcing them to focus on fundraising above all else. They end up spending more time courting wealthy donors at exclusive dinners than actually governing and addressing the needs of their constituents. The pressing question becomes, what do my donors want? How can I keep them happy and ensure their continued support? Instead of focusing solely on what's best for the country as a whole, the focus shifts to satisfying the interests of a select few. Money buys access to power, undue influence over policy decisions, and ultimately, perpetuates a system that serves the interests of the privileged few over the needs of the many. It begs the question, can true democracy exist when wealth dictates influence? Lobbyists, media moguls, and donors pull strings, but they're not alone. In a global economy, foreign governments and multinational corporations also have seats at the table. Multinationals aren't just companies, they're economic empires loyal only to shareholders. They can threaten to move jobs, forcing governments to compete by lowering standards. Foreign governments influence through investments, think tanks, and social media campaigns, subtly shaping policy. These interests are deeply intertwined, creating a web of leverage over national decisions. The question, what's best for our country, gets tangled with what will keep the money and power flowing. Amid all this, there's still one force that can shake the system: you, the people. When citizens unite, they can organize, protest, and demand change. Grassroots movements have toppled regimes and won rights, proving people power is real. Local communities can stop polluters, youth can force climate action, and viral hashtags can spark global conversations. But there's a gap between making noise and making law. Even after massive protests, lobbyists and donors still work behind the scenes. This can breed cynicism. Movements fizzle, laws get watered down, and change stalls. The challenge is turning passion into lasting leverage. It's not just about being loud, but being strategic and persistent. The system is entrenched, but history shows collective action can break through. The fight is uphill, but it's not hopeless. If politicians are managers and lobbyists hold sway, who are their bosses? Enter the world of dark money and anonymous donors. These groups operate in the shadows, spending millions to influence elections and policy without ever revealing their identities. Dark money means billionaires, corporations, or even foreign entities can secretly shape outcomes. They fund attack ads, fake grassroots campaigns, and think tanks that push their agenda. Over time, they build entire infrastructures to shift public debate, all while staying hidden. The most chilling part? Power is increasingly held by the anonymous, eroding transparency and accountability. When you don't know who's pulling the strings, you can't know whose interests are being served. We've taken a brief tour of the visible symbols of power, the grand institutions and hallowed halls where decisions are ostensibly made. But now, let's return to the big question that lingers beneath the surface. Who really runs your country? Who truly holds the reins of power and shapes the direction of our society? It's a question that demands deeper exploration, a peeling back of layers to reveal the complex forces at play. The answer, as you might suspect, isn't simple or straightforward. It's not a matter of pointing to a single individual or entity. Instead, it's a messy tug-of-war, a constant push and pull between competing interests and ideologies. This tug-of-war is waged between money, influence, and the people. Three powerful forces constantly vying for control. Each exerts its own pressure, shaping the political landscape and influencing the decisions that affect our lives. On one side, lobbyists, those skilled navigators of the political system, corporations, the economic powerhouses that wield immense resources, media giants, the shapers of public opinion and the gatekeepers of information, and shadowy donors, those who operate in the shadows, funding agendas without revealing their identities. They are organized, relentless in their pursuit of influence, and exceptionally well-funded, allowing them to exert considerable pressure on the political process. On the other, the people. They are often diffuse, scattered across different communities, and holding diverse opinions. They are passionate about their beliefs, and while sometimes disorganized, they become incredibly powerful when united by a common cause. The vote, protest, and collective action are democracy's true source of legitimacy, the bedrock upon which our system of government is built. When focused and determined, people power can force accountability from those in positions of authority and bring about real, meaningful change. The key is not to succumb to despair or apathy, but to cultivate awareness. See the battlefield for what it is, know the players and their motivations, and be prepared to fight back against injustice and inequality. Demand transparency from your elected officials and institutions, support independent journalism that holds power accountable, and stay engaged in the political process beyond Election Day, holding your representatives accountable and advocating for the issues you care about. The future of our society, the direction our country takes, depends on which side ultimately wins this ongoing tug-of-war. So which side are you pulling for? What role will you play in shaping the future of your country? Who do you think really runs your country, and what are you going to do about it? The answer lies within each of us, in our willingness to engage, to question, and to act.